Most entities mobilize their data when the questionnaire is due and otherwise treat it as the black sheep of the family.
Today, I have the pleasure to welcome in the studio Alice Lehnert, who is partner at Palana, and Katja Krieg, who is senior manager at Palana too. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here with you, Jérôme.
It's a pleasure. I invited you today to speak about data and about AML reporting. So my first question to you, Alice, is how can data be better leveraged to improve the AML reporting efficiency?
The problem is not the data. The data exists. It exists in customer database at the TA, the management company. It can be in the portfolio management system with the portfolio managers. The question is always the same. Do we get the right data at the right point? And this is a data architecture problem, not a data problem. At Palana, we know it well, as we have been inside these data flows operationally, not just advising on them. And there are a couple of points that are worthwhile to be mentioned. First, fragmentation. Data sits in silos that have never been created to talk to each other. And when the questionnaire asks, for instance, for high-risk investors or for investors with high-risk business activities, one goes to different databases, extracts the data, cross-reference them and reconcile. And of course the effort for a private equity fund with a limited investor database is different than for a broadly distributed usage. But there might be some other points that you want to mention, Katja.
Right, yes. Secondly, maybe manual input. The AML reports, risk assessments, regulatory questionnaire, these should be outputs of a data pipeline, not handcrafted documents built under time pressure. If the numbers cannot be traced to a source system, they are an assertion as opposed to an evidence. What we work on with clients is to transform compliance reporting into a data retrieval exercise. And third, reactive data collection. Most entities mobilize their data when the questionnaire is due and otherwise treat it as the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, right. And actually the real efficiency game will not come from working harder on the same approach, because it's insanity doing same things and expect different results. The different results would only come in when the data architecture is considered as being something worthwhile to be created, to be enhanced and developed, so that it becomes over time an operational data collection that is serving a multitude of AML reports and AML documents. So it's the good data architecture that compounds. Poor data architecture compounds too, just in another other direction.
Yeah, we know that, for example, the alternative industry is still using very old IT systems. I know Excel sheets are the go-to solution still. Yeah. So it's a real change of paradigm for a whole industry. So my next question to you, Alice, is how should AML processes adapt to evolving regulatory reporting requirements?
It's not about the processes, it is again about the data architecture. If the data architecture is sound, there is no need to worry about every upcoming regulatory requirements in reporting area, and there is no need to change the processes. The challenge is therefore not with regulatory involvement, because the supervisory logic is always the same. But of course the absence of a sound data architecture presents a different kind of challenges. Isn't it so, Katja?
It is absolutely so, Alice. So I would say there are really two distinct points. First, if we put it in the EU AML context that we're reading about so much, from national interpretation to really a single EU rulebook, the AML regulation is directly applicable, no Luxembourg interpretation, and the entire AML package requires data. Data mapping, data points, hence, and I'm repeating it again, what you said, we need the data architecture, right? Second, the AML reports are not narrative documents anymore. They're no longer long written text, they're numbers. And numbers must be produced, they must be reported inherent risk scores by customer type, product, geography, delivery channel, control quality scores from operational data.
Maybe a word about proportionality.
Right, so this doesn't mean that every entity needs enterprise-grade infrastructure, right? It means that we have to really evaluate this with every client that we have. What is the right framework for this specific entity? The investor base, risk profile, delegate structure. The answer is never the same twice. Proportionality requires judgment. What is material? What is sufficient? What will hold up under scrutiny? And getting that calibration right is genuinely difficult. And it's where we spend most of our time, and it's also really a very interesting part of our day-to-day work.
Absolutely. The firms with least or who will least likely to suffer from regulatory reporting headache share one characteristic. They have current data, clear data governance and responsive data mapping. And when the next regulatory rain cloud is on the horizon, they are not starting a project, they are just making an adjustment because they maintained the data architecture rather than waiting to invent it for every regulatory change. And also here the maintenance is always cheaper than repair, and it's a truth universally acknowledged.
Very good. So now if we look into the future, we know time flies at the moment at the speed of new regulations. So what is your vision for AML reporting and data strategy? Now we know it's very much connected over the next 5 years.
Yeah, the next 5 years will determine who has built a strong data architecture as a genuine organizational capability and who is still managing data as a recurring administrative burden. And the distinction will become visible because freed up resources will generate the revenues of real, genuine business activities. And also the compliance professionals will change. They would become more data literate, better informed, and hopefully spending less time on administration.
Right, and what we're building with clients today for the next 5 years, and I use building deliberately, is the infrastructure that makes the transition manageable. What helps us build this bridge into the future is, on the one side, the deep understanding of what regulatory frameworks requires, regulatory knowledge, expertise, savviness. And on the other side, the operational knowledge of how to produce and maintain data that proves it, right? And they both come together. And this combination, this bridge we're building, is what will really make the difference to companies that embrace that combination.
It's a good thing because at Palana you are working hand in hand with a tech company. So I would believe you're in a good position to embrace these challenges.
Absolutely.
Well, then I wish you a lot of growth going forward, and the same for your client. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.